You can do a lot of things with a food processor. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight in the show, we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna make some granola bars. Granola bars, yes. A little bit of background here. Some time ago, my wife came home with these snacks and she's like, these snacks, my boss be eating them all the time. So she gave me some and I tried it and I was like, oh, I like that a lot. And what is that snack? It is a Bobo's Oat Bites. So it's not really like a granola bar. It's kind of like a little, an oat-based snack. Looks like a little muffin, and here it is. That's the commercial product right there. Pop that bad boy open, you can see it's I don't know. I really like them too. So I started thinking about them a lot, and then I started buying them. And then I looked at the price, and I was like, the f***? I don't know how much it costs, but whatever it is way too much. So, you know, being the good economy man that I am, I was like, well, I could probably make that shit, right? Like, probably. And so I started making them. And I sent some to our Patreon supporters in that recent shipment. Made a couple types. Some of you guys liked it so much, you asked me for the recipe. So I sent you that recipe, but also here's that recipe. So, let's make some of these bars. We're gonna preheat the oven to 300 degrees. I think. If I have to adjust that, I will, but 300 should do it. And we're gonna use our food processor today. Now, I've made these a few times, so I'll give you some notes as I go through. But the oats we're gonna use today are Old Fashioned Rolled Oats. Oats are incredibly good for you, and they're cheap as hell. That's a winning combination in my book. So, we're gonna take these oats, and we're gonna put 3 cups of oats into the food processor. That's a 1. And this is you don't have to be precise about this. That's 2. You know, if you get a little too much, too little, I think it'll be okay. I have not been precise on any of the batches that I made and they've all been good. Okay, so 3 cups of oats. And then what we're gonna do with those is we're gonna grind them, but not to the point that it becomes oat flour. So we're just gonna break them up, but not completely powderify them. Or we're not gonna obliterate? Obliterate, that's the word I'm looking for. So we'll turn this on. You can do this with the pulse feature if you want. Or you can just let it run. Okay, so I'll just so you can see, this is not done yet. So we want to break up even more of the oats, but you can see there is like a powder forming. So we need to go a little bit longer. And this is a textural thing. So again, I'll remind you from our original component, you know, there's not distinct oats in there, not really, but there's some larger pieces. So that looks good to me. You know, we've got mostly broken up, but you can see there's still, you know, some pieces that are larger. So that'll make for a nice texture. We'll take this bad boy to our big bad mixing bowl. Everything's bad tonight, big and tough and bad. Now, I'll make the comment now that we are gonna be like mixing up things to make the dough for this. Dough, it's not really the right word. I actually think it's easier to do this by hand. And I don't know why, even using a KitchenAid mixer, I actually think that I had a better product when I hand mixed it. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. Also, I'm drinking bourbon and kombucha, which is that's a little bit of a throwback drink for me. Okay, so we need some other stuff in here. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some salt going. And you could use any kind of salt you want. However, I like to bougify things when I can. So I'm gonna grind some Himalayan pink sea salt. We need a ½ teaspoon of the salt. And I'm gonna make a couple batches tonight, so that's why I have more salt going. I personally like to do just a ½ teaspoon and like a little extra. I'm gonna actually mix that salt in right now before I add anything else, because I think it'll be easier to distribute it. And we'll move on to the next thing, which will be brown sugar, 1/4 cup. I'm using dark brown sugar, but you could use light, doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters at all. So there's that. So our first batch tonight we're gonna make, I'm gonna literally make I'm not gonna call it a ripoff. I'm gonna make a tribute to those oat bites, and I'm just gonna add chocolate chips. So you can think of this as kind of the base recipe. You can certainly add more things if you want, but it is important for these particular granolas, you need the mini chocolate chips. You get the big ones, they're gonna be too big, and it's not gonna be a fun time. You need about 1/4 cup miniature chocolate chips. So again, here I am incorporating things in the state of my choosing because, as we all know, granola bars are not subject to taxes unless you're selling them, and I'm not selling shit. I'm just making some granola bars to keep my family alive. Okay, what we need from here is something sweet and something fatty. The items we'll use today, coconut oil, and we need a 1/4 cup. And again, you don't have to be super precise with it. And I can already anticipate that some of you who are watching are like, is Phil gonna mix that by hand? And I will direct you immediately to this box of gloves right here, which is what I'm gonna use to mix it up. It's all fun and games until you start getting the weird ingredients. Okay, our next item is probably the item that you are the least likely to have, which is rice syrup. Brown rice syrup. You want 100% rice syrup. This is left over from that cold noodle Korean dish over here. So we need a 1/2 cup of this syrup. If you don't want to go this route, you could just use honey. Honey would be fine. You can see it's pourable to a point, and then there's quite a bit left in the cup, so having an implement of some kind to get the rest is probably advisable. And if you don't get every drop, it's fine, even in this economy, okay? And this is our most basic recipe. So, you know, it's just a few ingredients: oats, chocolate chips, salt, coconut oil, rice syrup. So again, even with these weird textures, I literally think it's easier to do it by hand. So I got my glove, and we'll start working it together, and we'll do the squeezies. I think the squeezies is the way to go. The plus side is that you can't really overmix this stuff. You know, there's not active ingredients really. You're essentially just trying to work the syrup and the fat evenly across the oats. When I ran this through a stand mixer, something that I really noticed was that a lot of it built into it got stuck to the side of the bowl. And even with like using a tool to scrape down the sides, I had to like a significant amount that was like got built in from like the repeated pushes of the paddle. So I think this is the way to go. It's just to do it by hand. You can see that we got pretty much all of the mix there together, which is nice. I'll also comment that based on my different doughs, this one feels a little bit loose, but we'll see how it comes out. I'm not overly concerned about it. And this is what we're left with, which is essentially kind of oats that you could, if you wanted to, you could like ball it and it will hold its shape, but it's still relatively loose. If you have a specialty pan for making like granola bars, you could certainly do that. I've just been using a muffin tin, and I think that actually works quite nice. Kind of keeping true to the same ingredients, what I've been doing is just taking plain old coconut oil, and with my gloved hand, just kind of loosely greasing up these tins. If you wanted to use papers, you certainly could, but this method worked well for me, and it has kind of the added benefit that when you bake them with coconut oil, kind of as the non-stick component, it has a crispier outside, which I think is pretty nice. Even though you're not really like cooking them necessarily, it does give it kind of a little bit of a depth in the texture department, which that commercial product does not have. The commercial product is soft all the way through. It almost has a singular or monochromatic texture to it, which is fine, it's delicious, but I like mine more. So from here, we'll load up our tins, and what I basically do is I get a little bit of a scoop, just kind of eyeballing it at first to try to distribute that. And what I've learned is that I'm terrible at eyeballing that. But you know, just getting a starting point is helpful for when we redistribute the resources to these communist granola bars. So we eyeball them, and then to shape them, what I've found works really, really well is to use like a 1/4 cup scoop or like some implement like that, and we can take them and basically use that to flatten them out into the muffin tin. You could get real sweaty out at it or not. There should be enough coconut oil either on your glove or just in the pan that it doesn't stick too terribly much, but you can see I just pulled one out. So keep that in mind. These are obviously not all the same. This one's a little bit small, but they all bake relatively the same. So getting it super perfect, not a high priority by any means. And these are ready to bake. So into our oven at 300 degrees, these will go. And we'll bake them for about 20 minutes. Well, golly gee, wasn't that so much fun? Let's make another batch. Instead of doing a chocolate chip one, we're gonna do something different. So I'm gonna get the oats going, and then we'll resume filming, and we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so we movie magicked our way to a mostly complete batter. And this one we're gonna do blueberry vanilla. And you can't just use well, I'm gonna do a teaspoon of vanilla, just by the way, which is plenty. I'm gonna use dried blueberries. And that's very important to use the dried fruit rather than fresh fruit for the longevity of your product. These are shelf stable for quite some time, as long as they don't dry out too much. We were sent these Karen's Natural fruit. We got sent some blueberries and some pineapple by a marketing company. And the marketing company harassed me almost on a daily basis. This was a very long time ago, to the point that I was like, I'm not doing anything for you, you know. And by the way, anytime anyone offers us to send something, I'm like, well, they probably don't know what our show is. You know, they probably don't understand how it works. So I just tell them, like, you can send me whatever you want, and I might do something with it, but I might not. So I was upfront with them. But they tried to manage me into producing a YouTube video in like 3 days or something, and that is not how PGC works. Therefore, I will not be reviewing this product, other than to say I like this product, but the marketing company that they work with sucks. So that's it. I will say these are a little bit on the older side in that they're kind of stuck together, but of course we can fix that by breaking them up. And when I actually get in there and manually mix it up, it should be better. So about a 1/4 cup of dried blueberries will treat us just nice, and we can proceed from there. So this is the exact recipe that I used for the blueberry version that I sent out to some folks. And based on feedback I got, this was the version that everyone liked the most. Well, everyone who gave me feedback liked the most. If you like the other kinds, let me know, but you know, it is what it is. I like the regular chocolate chip, but that's because I'm a simpleton and I just like regular, boring food. Just kind of glancing at this, I think it could maybe use some more blueberries. Doesn't look like there's too many of them in there. Get some more in there. Also, for anyone who's wondering, I think that marketing company probably put a f***ing black mark on us because we don't get nearly as many offers to review things as we used to. That's fine. We were never for sale. That's just how it is. We got about 8 minutes on the first batch, so we're just gonna chill here, and then we'll take it from there. Nothing else to do other than relax, kick back, maybe put a little sea salt in your booch for some reason. Sounds good. All right, here's our treats, our granolis. Now, I want to just comment really quick because I've tried a few different things, and I don't feel like it's earth-shattering one way or the other. If you want to like really have a really dense snack, and maybe like you're like camping or something, that's why you're making these, you could at this point take that same little that cup that we used, and you could press these down again while it's still soft. So these actually still need to set for just a little bit, and you could either just leave them be and let them cool, or you can jam that cup in there and make it really, really dense. And then as they cool, we'll pop them out of this tray and we'll let them completely cool before we wrap them up. We'll be back in a few minutes to give you an update on these delightful treats. All right, so we cooled it up a little bit. So we're gonna see if we can get them out. And the way I like to do this is through a series of whacks. So you get your pan, and you got your gloves, you got your other pan, your auxiliary pan. You start with one of these, and then you might do some of these, some of those, and then I like to see, did that work at all? And the answer is, it works pretty damn well. Also, we did not let these cool all the way. So even in this form right here, they're still pretty loose. So we'll be careful to avoid hitting those. We'll see if we can get the other ones out real quick. Well, that didn't work great. So let that be a warning to you that some of them might not come out perfectly. And that's okay. Even if you have one that's really messed up like this one is, look at this. It's like there was never a problem. So we'll let these further cool, and now that we have room in our muffin tin, we'll make some more. Which is not particularly exciting, it's the exact same process. Let's get that blueberry batch going, and then we'll be done. We'll be back. Okay, so our bars are cool now, and even you can see, you know, they hold together, but even in this state, they're fairly soft. So for our really messed up one, I'll show you, like when we break it apart, it looks like, you know, a chewy cookie, and it's good. It's good. Now let me show you something. So here's some. Let me just show you how they age. Here are some that I made maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. And so we saw how, you know, like how malleable that is. Here's how dry eventually they will be, where you can still break them apart, but it's considerably more chewy. So you can just throw them in an airtight container. If you want to individually wrap them, let me show you my method. So we'll slap that in a small piece of Plastic wrap, I got press and seal because that was what's handy. And this is way too much plastic wrap, but you know, forgive me for my sins of using plastic. The way that I do it, I take one side up, the other side up, like so, and then either way, you fold it over and fold it over. And for press and seal, it doesn't really work that well. But for regular plastic wrap, you'll get a nice seal on it, like that. And then you can just take that, you can throw it in your bag, you forget about it, you put your bag on the ground, your dog will fetch it out, and then you'll be like, bad dog. But thankfully, you know, your dog's only got like 5 teeth, so he couldn't actually get into the plastic. But even in that short time that they cooled, you can see how well they hold their form now. You can stack them up like so, whatever. So these are the blueberry ones. They're fresh out, so they're not set yet, but we ain't got time to wait. So me and John are gonna try a piece of the blueberry vanilla. I like it. It tastes more granola-y. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this episode and are inspired to make your own snacks, because it can be very rewarding. And you know where all that shit came from. You know, probably know government mind control thickening agents in your snacks. And we'll see you next time on PGC. That's how you do it. Toodaloo!